Welcome to Whiskey and SV. I'm your host Sam, and today I will be looking to review the Jack Daniel's 12 Year Batch 1. Okay, so as you know, Jack Daniel's has usually doesn't have age-stated stuff until last year, and then last year they put out Batch 1 of the 10 Year, which was apparently very well received. So this year they've put out Batch 2 of the 10 Year, which I don't have here, but I have been able to get that one. A friend of mine picked it up for me, so I'll be getting that next week, and I might do a blind comparison. Um, but for this week, I'm going to review this 10 year, which I haven't opened yet, but luckily a whiskey friend of mine gave me a 2-ounce sample, which I'm going to pour out and let's aerate for a little bit while I talk a little bit. Yeah, these are quite hard to get these days. They dropped at our local Bevmos and Costco's, a couple of weeks ago. Um, I think the pricing was like $80 at Bevmo for the 10 year and $100 for the 12 year, and Costco was about $20 cheaper on both, something like that. But anyways, I think I paid something like 120 out the door for this one. So slightly above retail, but not bad at all considering how sought after it is. And I'm very excited to try it because I really like the barrel proof, the single barrel proof Jack Daniels, and I'm really curious to see what this is going to be like compared to that. Okay, so yeah, I will definitely do a blind later, but just to get this out, and I don't have much time tonight. I have to finish some work, so yeah, I wanted to pour a sample and try it and see, if it's worth opening and seeking backups, or is it just all hype. So um, now let's see. I probably should wait more for this to open up, but let's just go for it and see what it's like. Okay, so on the nose, it's the very recognizable Jack Daniels character, which for me is these kind of peanutty uh, caramel and vanilla notes. The peanut is kind of like the specific note that I associate with Jack Daniels. Very brown, sugary, like sweet nose. Some people tell me they get banana on this. I don't get any banana. In fact, I've never got banana in any bourbon. I don't know how people get banana. While I'm doing that, I think I want to pour a little bit of the this one. Oh, that's a lovely cork. I'm going to pour a little bit of this as well for comparison purposes. I probably put a little bit more than I should have in this sample, but it's okay. I would like to really decide if this is something that I want to open and have more of. Not that it's going to be easy to find, but Okay, so very brown sugar again, vanilla and um, peanutty, like nutty but peanuts specifically. Okay, so let's give it a try. Mm. Okay, so um, nothing unexpected. What I would expect in the nose. So sweet arrival, um, very very lots of caramel and brown sugar. Um, some nutty flavors towards the end, a little bit of spices. It's very chest warming. Um, and yeah, the finish is got some oak on it for sure. Um, those kind of like tanniny little bourbon, kind of tannin bitters. Let's try a second sip. Hmm. Just swirling that around, there's definitely a lot of oak influence. You can say, yeah, it's just like you're kind of licking some oak that has been um, marinated with some syrupy, brown sugar, melted brown sugar, kind of like caramel stuff, right? So it's quite sweet and oaky. I would say there's nothing super special here, which is maybe controversial. Um, let's see. I have to compare it side by side. I think by with the this particular single barrel. So this particular single barrel is actually 64%, 64.6%. So it's quite potent. And yeah, on here it says specially selected by Chris Fletcher, Master Distiller 2021. I think I got a couple of these little bottles from Bevmo for about $30 each, which I thought was pretty cool. I love specialty stuff. So if it's like a small bottle or a big bottle, it's always fun. Okay, so let's see. Comparatively, we're going with the single barrel. Okay, it's very different actually. Mind you, this has been open for a while, so it's a lot more fruity on the nose actually. Quite a lot more fruity on the nose. The same basic bourbon notes are always there, of course, right? There's when I say fruity, we're not talking about Scotch fruity. This is obviously bourbon fruity, which is, you know, still you got like heavy caramels and vanilla and some oak, and then on top of that you're getting like some fruity stuff. Also some artificialness about this a little bit, I would say. Okay, let's see. Let's see. A lot more nippy. Ooh, yeah. Okay, so I think the flavors in this are much younger and more. They feel a bit more, yeah, much younger and more, a little bit more artificial. Dare I say? It's yeah, a little bit like kind of a magic markerish kind of note. Interesting. I never got that note on this before. But comparatively, it's just it's definitely very different. Yeah, this is much more rounded when I compare. It could also be because it's much lower proof, like actually, because it's only 107 proof, 53.5%. This is 64 point something, right? So we're talking about 11% ABV difference. So okay, starting to get some fruity notes in this as well. Okay, I'm gonna go back to this and try the palate. Yeah, very sweet up front, super brown sugary, um, with some spices, like baking spices, mouth-watering. Um, Not like cayenne, which kind of like keeps lingering and tingling afterwards, but definitely like more like yeah, baking spices that are spicy and then like die out pretty quickly. And then yeah, so then the finish on this is mostly, yeah, a lot less oak, some oak, but just a lot less. And yeah, it's just that those sugary flavors really yeah, the sugary flavors just linger. Getting a lot more oak now. I really like the fact that um these barrel proof stuff is just the flavors are so concentrated. So you get something up front and then it opens up. So and then when it's lingering, you just keep getting different waves of flavors. They're mostly sweetish flavors, I would say. Um, so yeah, I think this would pair really well with dark chocolate, actually. Okay, let's go back to this 12 year, the star of the show. Okay, interesting. Starting to get a lot more of those same notes as that one as well. Okay. Yeah. The oak is much more prevalent on this, I would say. Um, it is more rounded. Um, doesn't have the same napiness, but that could be just because of ABV. It's definitely nicer, I would say. If I had to pick one, I would probably pick this. I don't know. I think it's too obvious in a blind, so if I do a blind, I definitely have to water that down. But I don't know if this is worth all the fanfare. I mean, I saw people selling this for like $300 on secondary. I would never pay 300 for one of these. I think it's definitely a worthy whiskey. I really like Jack Daniels to start with. For the availability and price, of course, I think this is a clear winner. Um, but if you are not thinking about the price and you have this at retail, then technically this should only be like $20 more expensive. Um, in reality, it's obviously way more expensive. So mm, yeah, I would say just much more well-rounded, much more stronger oak. Um, and yeah, it's pretty straightforward whiskey. Honestly, it doesn't have like too much complexity, I would say. Um, Definitely nothing that much more complex over like the regular barrel, the single barrel barrel proof. It's just like yeah, it's exactly if you aged something more and it was more well rounded, what would it be like? It would be that. So is it better? Technically, yes. I would say like maybe 10 to 20% better. Um, yeah, I don't know if I should give a mark. I'm not very good at giving like very detailed marks. I would say if my holy grail is the Frey Ranch single barrel proof that I have from KL Wines, that I would give like a 9.5, maybe even a 9.9. That stuff is so good. Barrel 938. If I think it was 938 or it was maybe 936. Anyway, it's a high proof. I think it's a 68%, 67%, something like that. Frey Ranch, and that is so different and so unique and so just so good. Um, if that's like a 9.9, I would put this at maybe at a let's say like a 9.1 or something. Um, if I was to take into account availability and price, I would probably have to knock a few marks because it is very hard to find. And I am wondering if I should open it now that I don't think it's nice, but yeah, I'll have to think about that. I mean, maybe it would make a nice trade. I would much prefer, to be honest, to have one of these. This stuff is gold in a bottle. It's just so nice. Um, but then again, I'm a big single malt person, so uh, probably a little bit of bias there. But if I was to say have an option, these were actually this was cheaper in theory. Like I think when it was in Costco, it was only $60. Of course, people are still buying, asking like $300-400 for these. But if someone offered me a trade for this for that, I would definitely take that. I mean, I would definitely take the twice barreled. Um, in fact, I would like to try it again. Um, no, this is going to make this episode too long, so I will leave that for another day. They're very different, so there's no point really doing a side by side. But yeah, you can imagine that whenever you have a nice bottle, especially if you have a chance to try it already, the question is, do I open it and then just drink it, or is it like an opportunity to kind of like do a trade with something that you like maybe more? Um, yeah, I think I still have some more of the sample, so I'll have to go back to it more. I think it's unfair to just like open it and then like expect to get the best experience, but I would say nothing extra special there so far. It's definitely better than the single barrel proof for sure. Yeah, that's just like much younger, and this is okay. Now I'm rambling too much, so time to get going and get ready for the rest of the week. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope you have a great week. And see you next week. I think maybe next week I'll open actually the 10-year or see if I can get a sample. If not, I'll just open it and I'll do a comparison to see. So I'll probably save the rest of the sample for next week, unless if I decide to open it. Okay. Anyways, have a good one and see you next time.